Hi, I'm Nicola from the Child Behaviour Network. Today we're going to have a think about playdates that are actually fun. To give you some context for this, for those of you that don't know, my formal training is as a Norland Nanny, and I nannied for many, many years, mostly for children with additional needs. And this is something I really struggled with. I found it really difficult to organise playdates. I often didn't find them very enjoyable. I felt like there was something that I needed to do and it was right to do, but I had a few friends that I enjoyed them with, but a lot of the time, I did not find it enjoyable. So I was just going to share some tips that I've learned that hopefully will help you, because I know I'm not alone in this. I know I've had this conversation with other people and that actually playdates can be a real stress, but let's try and find some ways that they can actually be fun. So playdates can be a big challenge for many children, but particularly children with additional needs. I'm thinking of children who might find it difficult to navigate social situations or have difficulty regulating their emotions and behaviour. So what I mean by this is you might have a child who can easily become overexcited or quickly reaches meltdown, or you can tell they're just not quite sure how to handle themselves in social situations. So playdates can be really difficult for a number of reasons. One is sometimes it's hard to organise the playdate in the first place. If your child isn't a social butterfly, they may not get invited to many playdates, or it might be difficult to work out who to invite round for a playdate if your child doesn't particularly seem to have a sort of close group of friends. And lots of children really want to have play dates and they want to have friends, but they're not quite sure how to go about navigating all of the sort of social etiquette and social challenges that come with that. And as the adult, we can find it stressful because we're anxious about how our child might be behaving, particularly if the other child's parent or carer is staying for the play date. We can sort of feel conflicted about how much we feel we might need to explain our child's behaviour. Sort of raises a whole load of challenges for us. So we might be feeling a bit anxious about how to navigate the play date as well. So how are we going to create successful play dates? I'm going to talk through 4 different things that I think are important. We're going to talk about timing, we're going to talk about having a plan, we're going to talk about staying consistent, and we're going to talk about praise. So firstly, my recommendation would be keep it short and do it at a time that works best for your family. So this might be scheduling an afternoon play date for your older child whilst your younger child naps so that you can fully focus on the older child. You know what will work best for you. You know when your child sort of copes best during the day or where they cope best. So it might be that they cope better out of the house. So organise a play date at the park. The whole point is you're trying to set your child up for success. If you know, for example, that meal times are difficult for your child, then don't feel that you ought to invite another child to stay for a meal. Or if you do, consider whether it might be smoother to have a picnic or something like that. You are an expert in your child and you know what is best for them. So try not to let the pressure of what other families do influence on your plans. You're setting your child up for success. Secondly, stay consistent. So it will be really confusing for your child if when they have a play date, suddenly lots of things are changing. So try and maintain the same routine you normally have, the same sort of foods and activities that you would normally be doing, and also try and maintain your boundaries in terms of their behavior. So I appreciate we have to have some flexibility and sometimes you will maybe not pick that battle, but try not to let too many things change because your child will get very confused as to why just because someone else is here, they're suddenly allowed to behave in a way that they're not normally allowed to. So I know it can sometimes feel a bit awkward, sort of managing your child's behavior in front of other children and especially in front of other parents and carers. but it's much better to nip it in the bud and address your child's behaviour as you normally would, because if you let it slip a little bit, they're going to get more confused and their behaviour's likely to escalate. So try and stay consistent with things like their routine, what sorts of times you're eating, what activities you're doing, and maintaining the sort of behavioural boundaries and expectations that you would normally have. Don't be afraid to take control. If you would find it easier for the other child's parent or carer to drop them and go, then you can politely say, very happy for you to drop them off if you'd like. Obviously, if the other parent carer would like to stay, like that's totally fine too. But most children are fairly happy when there are other people's houses. So when a child arrives at a play date, I usually start by sort of outlining the plan for the play date. Children are used to this. This is the sort of thing that happens when they go to school. They won't find it odd that an adult is saying to them, this is what I was thinking we could do today. So I usually start by telling them the plan for what we'll be doing, with flexibility built in and free play. But I usually know, as the carer of a child with additional needs, that my child is already feeling anxious before the play date has even started. They are confused about how to handle this entire situation. I know they're struggling to regulate their emotions and behaviour. So what I'm going to start by doing is laying out the plan, and then we're going to do an activity all together. And again, I'm setting my child up for success. It's going to be something that I know my child loves. So ideally something I've prepared beforehand. It could be something like card making or a Lego challenge, who can build the tallest tower or something like that. And by initiating the first activity, you can also have prepared your child for what's going to be happening before their friend arrives, which reduces anxiety and then increases compliance in your own child. So I would usually try and plan an activity that can be open to interpretation to give me some flexibility. So if the other child, or your own child, does dig their heels in and say that they don't want to make a card, for example, you can say, okay, that's fine. You can do some drawing instead or make a poster. So they're still doing the sort of planned activity broadly, which was craft, but they might not be doing exactly what it is you'd prepped your child for. So your child might be thinking, well, I need to make a card because I was told that's what we're doing. That's fine. Their friend can sit next to them and make a poster instead. That way, your child feels that you've sort of honoured what the plan was and what you told them was going to happen, but also the friend is happy because everyone's getting to roughly do the activity that they would like to do. Lots of praise. We're going to provide lots of verbal praise for the children. It's going to be genuine. Children know when we are not being genuine with our praise. So try the best you can, even if things feel like they're going really wrong. Find something that's going well and offer some genuine praise for it. And also make sure the praise is specific and labelled. So what we mean by that is you might say something like, Jonathan, I'm so happy with how quickly you put the pens in the pen pot. Well done for tidying up. Rather than just a generic, that's great, thank you. Which is also, it's good to do, it's good to stay positive. But if you give specific and labelled praise, then the children feel seen, they feel acknowledged, and also they know which behaviours you want to see more of in the future. And lastly, provide your child with an out. So this might feel a bit awkward at first, but I have found sometimes it's necessary and it's just the best way to manage the situation. So before the playdate happens, you can prep your child for this and you can give them the opportunity for an out. So it might be a 5-minute sand timer, which they can take with them and go off somewhere to cool down if they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the playdate. Maybe something has happened that's made them feel frustrated. Maybe they're just having sensory overload. Maybe they're not sure how to manage the dynamics with their friend, and you think maybe they just need to go and take some headspace and then they can come back. So as I said, like this can feel a little bit awkward at first because your child's taking themselves off, and you're then left with the other child, or you have to leave the child that's come around for a play date to just sort of entertain themselves while you go and help your child for 5 minutes to calm down. But it's much better than ignoring the fact that your child is struggling, watching them escalate, and it then ending in a meltdown. So don't be afraid to do this. And don't be afraid to explain to your child's friend what's happening. So I would find it helpful to have already had a little think before about how I'm going to explain my child's behaviour to another child. So it's almost just like a script. You can say things like, Harry sometimes just gets a bit overwhelmed. He's got some big feelings right now. So he's gone to his bedroom to calm down. He's just going to be up there for 5 minutes and then he'll come back down and then he'll be ready to play with us. Really simple. We could use phrases like, right now, Harry's finding it really hard to make good choices. So he's going to go and have a little bit of time on his own. And then when he comes back, he'll be ready to make good choices again. So depending on where your child's at with being able to self-regulate, it might be that you have this conversation with them before the play date so they know that they can just, this is something they can do for themselves. Or it might be that in the moment you might need to step in with an, I wonder whether you need to take 5 minutes in your bedroom, or maybe you need to tell them you're going to take 5 minutes in your bedroom, whatever it is that sort of works for you in terms of managing their behavior best when you can see it starting to escalate. But the key thing is sort of have the confidence to nip it in the bud and have the confidence to give your child an out, like that's okay. And just explain it to the other child, because otherwise it is a bit weird if the other child isn't quite sure what's going on. And you can have this conversation openly with everyone, and it then also provides you with the opportunity to reassure your child that this is what the plan is. And then when you come back, we can pick up where we left off. You're not going to miss out on anything. Just be really open and honest that this is sometimes what we need in order to have a lovely play date. We might need to take 5 minutes out in the middle, and that's okay. So I hope that that has been helpful, sort of a little bit of a whistle-stop tour of the things that I have learned through sort of having lots of play dates, basically. In terms of next steps, if you think that's been really helpful, what can I do next to take this even further? You can go to a company called Widget online if you want to help to, I suggested maybe like create a plan for the day. So in one of my other videos, I talk about visual timetables a lot, but you can go to Widget and it'll help you to create, you can put images in so you can show the children what the plan is for the play date. I'm also very happy to do some online coaching with you in this. If you think, actually, yeah, do you know what, play dates are something we really struggle with. I can think of some specific examples of times I've really struggled and I've not known what to do. Let me know, we can have a chat about it. We can do a little online session, really simple, really easy, and I can help you to work out the best way for you to manage your child in the sort of play date environment. If you think, actually, I even want to take that one step further, can you come and show me what you're talking about? Because this sounds great, but I'm not quite sure how this looks. I'm very happy to come round. We call it strategies in action. I can come round when you have some other children there, and I can help to sort of model how we manage these situations. And I can also have a look at sort of how you manage it, and I can give you some real-time feedback on maybe what would be helpful for you to do differently and what we can improve on. Very happy to do any of those things. So for the coaching and the strategies and action stuff, if you go to our website, tcbn.co.uk, there's a contact us form, or you can just email me directly. It's nicola.rayner@tcbn.co.uk. But I hope it's been really helpful. I hope that you feel like in the holidays you can now have some play dates that are actually fun for everyone and don't just end up with feeling like you need to lie down in a dark room at the end. Hopefully we can have some really positive experiences. So have a fantastic time. Enjoy your play dates, and we are here if you need anything.